Okay, in this question, what we have to do is calculate the total number of atoms. So our first thing is to convert this mass into moles. Now to work out the moles, let's just write my little triangle here. So we've got Mr. Moles is underneath the mass. So that's my triangle. And we're going to try and find the moles. Now to find the moles, we need to know the mass, which we've got, but we also need to know the MR. And the MR is how heavy this formula, so it's the mass of this formula. And to work that out, I'm going to use this information here, which is the relative atomic mass, so the mass of each atom in this formula. So I can see I've got 2 lots of iron. So what we do here is we say we've got 2 lots of Fe. Fe has a mass of 56. So we've got 2 lots of 56, which is 112. Be careful with the sulfur because there's 1 here, but then we've got to times it by 3. So I've got 3 lots of sulfur, which is 3 times, the mass of sulfur is 32. So that's going to be 96. And then here, again, be careful for oxygen because there's 4, but I've got to times it by 3. So that's going to be 4 times 3 is 12 times oxygen. Oxygen's mass is 16, so I've got 12 times 16, which is 192. And then what I do is add all those up, so 192 plus 96 plus 112, and that's giving me an answer of 400. So now let's do the moles. So the moles is going to be the mass divided by the MR. So the mass is 23.42. The MR we've just worked out is 400. So we've got 23.42 divided by 400, and that's going to be 0.05855 moles. So kind of step 1 and 2 done. What we now need to do is convert this number of moles here into a number of particles. So to do that, I'm just going to put another little equation here, which says that if you want to work out how many particles there are, what we do is the moles times by Avogadro's constant. So moles times AC. So particles is going to be the moles times by AC. The moles is this 0.05855, and then Avogadro's constant, we're told, is here, 6.02 times 10 to the power of 23. So again, let's put that into my calculator. So 6.02 times by 10 to the power of 23. And that's given me an answer of 3.52 times by 10 to the power of 22 particles. Okay, now you might think we're done, but we're not quite, because the question wants to know the number of atoms. So this is the number of particles of iron sulfate, but as you can see here, iron sulfate, Fe2SO43, contains different numbers of atoms inside there. So we have to work out how many atoms there are. So we have got 2 lots of Fe, we have got 3 lots of sulfur, and 12 lots of oxygen. So the number of atoms is going to be 12 plus 3 is 15, plus another 2 is 17. So what I need to do now is multiply this is kind of the moles of iron sulfate, multiply it by the amount of atoms that's going to contain, and that gives me my final answer. So here we're going to say the number of atoms is going to be this 3.52 times 10 to the power of 22, and times that by 17, because there's 17 atoms in there, so times by 17, and I'm getting an answer here of 5.99 times by 10 to the power of 23.